Hello, 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 my darlings. Thank you for joining me on A Slice of Life, A Slice of Life. Today is the birthday of Dr. Martin Luther King. He would have been 97 years old today. And I'm 83 years old. And we marched with him on October the 19th, 1960, Spelman College, Clark College, Morris Brown College, Morehouse College, Atlanta University Center, and Interdenominational Theological Center. Include also people who were in the community that walked. We marched with determination. We had made up our minds that we were going to make a difference and we were going to change. I think about now how young we were, how young many of the high schoolers that came from Washington High School. They were 15, and we had students at Spelman who were 15 and 16 years old. What you see, what I was trying to show you, I didn't know if it was going to show, is some of the clips from the movie. Okay, wait. Some of the clips from the movie that Alvin and I did. You see us marching and walking. Let me move it back a little bit. I don't know if I can move it back. My daughter and I did an award-winning movie called Foot Soldiers, the Class of 1964, that tells our story. It tells the story of Spelman women and the AU Center students who said, I'm going to get out here and we're going to work for change. And that's what we did. We worked for change. Right now they're talking about, on this part, I see that there's the Appeal for Human Rights that was written by Rosin Pope and Julian Bond and other members of the Atlanta Student Movement. But I noticed that when we have this day, there's not a lot mentioned about the Atlanta Student Movement, but there's a lot. Of course, everything is mentioned about Dr. King because it was Dr. King who put his life ultimately, as you know, on the line. We all put our lives on the line when we picked up our banner, our placard, and walked out of Spelman, out of the AU Center, and made up our minds that we were going to protest. I got a paper. I meant to get it from my daughter today. A friend of mine sent me a paper of a woman. Do you remember the pictures of in Alabama, Bull Connor and that crew? There was a woman that was sprayed the water. They had the water hoses and the dogs, and you saw them fall. It was a horrible scene that was seen around the world. And one of those women just passed away recently. And I just wanted to say to many of you that many of us are still living. We were there. We were on the front line. We were on the front line behind Dr. King, but we were on the front line. There were some people who went to jail with him. Marilyn Price Hoyt is still living, and she has a book out where you see it's an iconic picture of her standing behind Dr. King and Lonnie King as they go, she and Blondell, her roommate, they are being escorted to jail. We're still here, some of us, and we have our stories to tell. I'm glad that we were able, my daughter, Reverend Evelyn Sanders Swafford, and I were able to capture some of the stories of my classmates and myself, what compelled us to get out there and march, and why we are not doing it now, not because the senior citizen, that may be part of it, but we're not even promoting people doing it, because when we did it, I guess it's the same danger as you think about it, because when we showed up across the bridge, when we showed up on October the 19th, the Klan was waiting for us. And I got burned. It's a story about the burn, as you know, I always have on jewelry, on High on the Hog, Season 2, Episode 3. High on the Hog, Season 2, Episode 3, you could get the story about how I was burned and what we went through. We went through something. And we're still living. We went through something. We went through something. And we went through it thinking that in 2026 it would be different. We actually thought that we could make a difference. We did not know how deep the hate was for us in terms of just our skin color. Just they hated us as a race. which means the hate could go on from then until now. We actually believed that we could make a difference, and we did in terms of integration, yes, but the integration was forced, and we thought we had arrived because we were able to get our kids in mixed schools. Well, I came out of that environment because I came from Gary, Indiana. I came out of that environment, but in the South, people were happy to get their kids. And we'll just hold this up so you can see some of. It's my movie. I don't know what. I don't know. I better not. What YouTube will say about my movie, but I said all that to say that, you know, we put our lives on the line. And Dr. King had already, by the time he gotten over here, he had already had, his life had been threatened, and then the woman had stabbed him, I think, by that time, and he could have been killed from the stabbing, and so he still decided he would join us, the Atlanta Student Movement. That was Dr. Herschel Sullivan Challenor and Lonnie King and Charles Black, and Dr. Rosalind Pope, you know, and just so many names. Brenda Sue Hill Cole and Otis Moss Jr. And so many people, Reggie Williams and Carolyn Long Banks and Wilma Long Blaney. It just names after names after names of people that on today I'm celebrating with Dr. King, but I'm celebrating you also. I'm celebrating the people in our movie that are not with us anymore. You know, we had people who sat down and told their story. Deborah Dorsey told her story, what happened. She remembered the bowling balls. I didn't remember the bowling balls. Can you imagine being hit with a bowling ball upside your head? Somebody wanted to hit you with a bowling ball. And we all thought it was temporary. We thought it was just during the time of the Jim Crow laws. Once the Jim Crow laws, left, that everything would be all right. We'd be the America that we propose, that we brag about, you know, democracy and life, liberty for everybody, the pursuit of happiness for everyone, you know, equal living. That's what we told people we were in this country. And we found out in 2020, after we got President Obama as our president, we were like, oh, we have arrived in this country. And we found out that it was a deep-rooted hatred. And I had been saying that in my classes, but my students were looking at the surface of it all. And I said, people, it's not right. I used to tell them it wasn't right. You know, be careful. Watch what you do. Watch what you say. You know, still go on the job, still be corporate. But the frustration was always there at the corporate level. You could only get so far, you know, and maybe you made it to the CEO, but you can count us on one hand that made it to that level. And you can count successful Black businesses, you see. But now, back we're in 2026 from 19, we've got a new ship. A ship is being made. It's called AI. And I like to know, I wonder what Dr. King would think about this whole AI movement. You know, he would be okay with it because it would be the field is level at AI. And that's what he was working to do for us. I like the way he talked about the beloved community. And now we have so many communities that's been disrupted and trauma removed through traumatic experiences. And the beloved community is scattered now. And so I still am glad that I marched, that I protested. I'm glad that we did it. We made a difference. We made a difference. What I'm sad about is that in 2026, all of it's gone backwards. But you know what? In the same time, I am glad in my own way that the veil has been pulled off the rose-colored glasses of many people, many African Americans that had thought they had arrived because they had home and all the all the extras, you know, the cars, and kids went to private school, and they had white friends, and you know, there was a period when a lot of that happened, and we thought we were okay, and then, but we found out, you found out, and the world needed to find out that it was all mirrors and smoke and mirrors, that nothing has changed. You cannot have this kind of hatred, current day hatred. These are descendants of the slaveholders, and they say, "Oh, we weren't the slaveholders." Yes, you were. You were descendants of the slaveholders, because you can't have that kind of hate. Why would you have that kind of hate? I saw a little kid yesterday in a restaurant. I told my daughter, I said, if you just let the kids be kids and not grow up in this, we'll have a better world. It's about peace. I would love us to have peace. Dr. King was about peace. We didn't really want to be beat on and spat on, burned, and treated badly. We wanted to change. We wanted you to accept us as we were. But now we're very smart. We've gone to school. We kept going to school. We have college degrees. The most educated group of people in America, a black woman, is a black woman, because our parents told us, you gotta go to school. You need a degree. And so now they're trying to shift that and say, you don't need a degree to make money. Well, that's true. I heard some people at an AI conference. I was disappointed, by the way, at the AI conference, that when they said you don't need a degree to get this money. I didn't want to put exactly like that, but it is true. But I'm still supportive of college education. I'm still supportive of being educated while you go get the bag. And so the new bag is AI. And on this birthday, Dr. King will be 97. I'm 84. He was about 13 years older than 14 years older than us. But of course, he was old to us, especially when you 19, 17, 18, and 15, 20 is old. But I'm proud of the fact that we got out there, that Dolores Young Strawbridge went to jail. She was my roommate. Wasn't my roommate at the time, but she ended up being a roommate, but she went to jail for us. And I think I can't think of her name now, went to jail. I can't think of her name. John P. Key's former wife, what's her name? Anyway, she went to jail. And Marsha Goodwin went to jail. And up in Chicago, Cecilia Mashburn went to jail in our class. And these names are never called. You don't know anything about these people, but they went to jail for you. And I want to celebrate with Dr. King's birthday. I want to celebrate these names. We had Val Jean Williams who helped us, and Edwina Palmer's in the movie. We got people who did extra things to make sure that we were okay while we were out there marching. It wasn't easy to do what we did, but we did it. And so I'm glad we're celebrating today his birthday. But I want to celebrate the foot soldiers. I want to celebrate those of us who are in the background. Those of us, there are no plaques. Well, they got some plaques with some of my names on it now because of Julian Bond's son, Councilmember Michael Bond, is collecting and finding all of us and putting our names on plaques as the unsung heroes and sheroes of the foot soldiers, that we don't have a name, we're not, no titles, we're just the people who made a difference. And we're not just the people, we made a difference. And many of your family members were with us, and they never got their names called. You will know unless you ask. And I've asked you to do some work and ask around who marched on October 19, 1960. October 19, 1960. Who demonstrated October 19, 1960 forward? But especially on that day. That's when the Charles Black and Lonnie King decided that they were the leaders from Morehouse College. they decided that that is going to be the second attempt at a coordinated effort to really make a difference in the city of Atlanta. And many of you are enjoying the city of Atlanta because of what we did. And that's the plus for me. When I look around and see how big Atlanta is now and how it's growing, I think about the work we did. And so to my fellow foot soldiers and to those of you who put your body, we put our bodies on the line so that you can enjoy the Atlanta that you're enjoying now. Anyway, we're still here. I thank God every day for his blessings and the days he's given me, 83 years of 365, and we're still here. Thank you, Dr. King, for coming. You know, he was asked by the students to come over here and help us. I think he was in Alabama, or he was going to come here and maybe go to Daddy King's church, go to his daddy's church. But instead, Herschel and Ann Ruth Borders, and I think we had a freshman though, Sandra Walker, not Sandra, what's her name? Yeah, maybe so, the Walker girl, I can't think now. Betty Stevens Walker, I think that's her name. She was a freshman, and she's a big-time attorney, civil rights attorney, but she worked very hard also because you know how you think about somebody 15 and 16 working with people to make a difference. Only God brought us to where we are now. So look where he brought us from. And then when I heard the song today, I said, oh, I get tired of that song, And then now we still in We Shall Overcome. We sang that song. We ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Come on, Edwina Palmer Hunter. We sang those songs and we meant them. It meant something, people. People don't know how it felt to be out there. And people just say, oh, y'all march, but you know, come back and talk to us sometime. That's what my daughter and I thought. Just talk to us sometimes, and you hear, we can still feel some of the pain. I don't feel the pain from my arm, but I feel the idea that somebody would jump out and try to hurt me, or try to hurt us. You know, we all lived with that. And so we have something special about us. There's something special about all of us, which is why we wanted to identify those people in the movie. Look up Foot Soldiers, the class of 1964. It's on pbs.org. Foot Soldiers, I'll put it in the description. And also look up High on the Hog and get that story. And when you hear somebody that's done that, it's like veterans. Like to the veterans, I love a veteran. I always say thank you for your service. When you hear somebody in your family got out there and took a chance, they put their life on the line. You know, they put their life. We did lose a life. We lost a life. And so, you know, I tell you, anyway, here we are. Happy birthday, Dr. King. And thank you for a slice of life. Because this, what we got right here going on in America, is a slice of life that we've never seen before. And I hope we don't ever see this again. I love you. There's nothing you can do about it.